Welcome to the Canandaigua and Ferris High School Sports Show. I'm Jeff DiVeronica. He's Steve Bradley. And below me is Canandaigua junior Mya Herman. The Braves off to a great start this season. And also ninth-year head coach Michael Brennan. He's the young-looking guy. We'll talk about that too. Braves, welcome to the show. Congrats on a great start to the season. Steve Bradley, this is a team that went to the sectional semifinals last year. A very young squad. Ended up losing to Brockport. And they're in the mix again this year. They got a big game on Saturday at Pittsford Sutherland. The Knights are off to a terrific start. I think they're 9-1 as we record this too. Dan Judd with a great squad. So let's start with Coach Brennan. Coach, going back to the COVID year last year, 11-2. You had a 11-1 record going to the sectional semifinals with a young group. Did they exceed your expectations at all?
Expectations were tough last year because we had about a week to get ready for the season. Honestly, I had high expectations because the kids are talented. And although we were young, we weren't necessarily inexperienced, so we were really young the year before. We had 8th graders contributing, but they had that year. Mya was a first-year varsity player 2 years ago, so she had a year of varsity experience. So we were young. I wasn't too sure what to expect, but I certainly didn't have low expectations because the kids are talented.
What's been working for your team this year?
Honestly, we start on defense, and pressing is where we get most of our energy from, and then that helps us on the offensive end too.
So Mya, you also play lacrosse, which everybody plays lacrosse in Canada. We kind of figured that out, which is great. But how much do your skills or your movements translate from one sport to the next? Do you think, does it help you at all in either sport that you play, lacrosse and basketball?
For the defensive end, it definitely helps with lacrosse, but then the conditioning also helps with basketball, especially like in the AAU season, like I'm in shape more.
So the kind of a spinoff on that question for you, Mya is your leading scorer at 14.2 points per game. Only senior on the team is Abby Harad, who's going to Boston College, a defending national champions in women's lacrosse, so not a D1 top-tier program. How beneficial is it to have athletes that play more than one sport, especially in this age where people are telling kids that you got to specialize?
Yeah, I'm very blessed to have kids that really value other sports, and especially speaking of Abby. She's just a competitor. If you gave her ice skates and said, go play hockey, she would compete at that. And so having a senior who just hates losing and just wants to compete, and that certainly, her playing other sports certainly helps with that.
We're talking Canandaigua basketball here on our specialties Skype hotline. Mya Herman, it's a balanced group. You have the 3 players averaging double figures. Abby's just below it at 9.6. Macy Bacon, she's a sophomore. Kylie Chapman, she's a sophomore, averaging 10 and 7 points respectively. What is Mya Herman's role for this team in your estimation, young lady? What do you do for this squad?
I am a good teammate, I think, and I think that I bring good energy to the team, especially again on the defensive end, and just when someone's like having a rough game, like just helping them up and like saying that you can do this. And yeah.
So Mike, we've asked Mya 2 questions. She's the leading scorer on the team, and both times she's talked about defense first. As a coach, what does that say to you? As an outsider, says the message is getting across, but when your top scorer's first words out of her mouth are defense, what does that say about her and the team's mentality?
Well, defense doesn't have off nights. Defense travels to other gyms. And so we're very, very proud of how we play defense. And we try to flip the script and try and get kids to really enjoy playing defense. And Mya hit it on the head. It really energizes our offense. So far this year, we've only let one team score over 40 points against us, and that was a pretty good Fairport team. And so kids take pride in that. And Mya, she's arguably the best defender on one of the better defensive teams in the league. So other kids in the league in the section might score more than Mya, but she does score well for us. But she's arguably the best defender on one of the best defensive teams. So that's a priority for us for sure.
Maya, where does that come from? The intensity on defense. Not every kid does that. Where does that come from?
I don't know. Freshman year, like I remember I was like, my dad was saying something about like, we don't know how much you play, but it's like start on defense. And all of a sudden, like, I don't know, I just would rather sometimes play defense than be on offense.
You're only a junior, but you're a third-year varsity starter, so you're a leader on the team. How do you get your teammates to buy into defense? What's the messaging? Because defense is, Coach alluded to it, but it's hard work, and not everybody likes to get after it.
Honestly, I think my whole team likes playing defense. Like, it's not just me enjoying it, like, but I help them, like, just saying like that it helps create energy pretty much.
Coach Brennan, tell us about this. Break the squad down for us. Where do you guys go to? Or do you have a go-to player? Are we talking to your go-to player? Or can you go in many spots for points? I know Macy made a pretty big jump. She was only averaging about 4.5 points a game last year. Now she's almost at 11.
Yeah, so we could go to a lot of different kids, and I think that's one of the most fun parts of coaching this team is we're, I think, probably difficult to scout. We don't have that kid that shoots 20 times a game and scores, 24 points a game, but we got 4 or 5 kids that could easily score double figures. So that's they're a really fun group to coach for that reason. I think part of it is the nature of how we run offense. We very rarely will run, a set play for one kid or a series of set plays for what some people will call our best player. And so I think the ball has energy. And so you talked about defense. If everybody knows on offense, they're going to have a chance to contribute offensively. They're not just going to go set a screen. The ball's got energy, and it makes them defend that much more that, every time down the court, they're going to be able to contribute offensively. And so if you look at our stats over the last probably 4 or 5 years, I don't think we've had a kid average over 14, and that's not a goal, but that's just by the nature of how we do things.
One thing you have done over the last few years is rack up a lot of wins. We'll talk a little bit more about that and about something a little deeper in the hearts and minds of people around this region, that something that still sticks with me too. After we take this quick break, you're watching Canandaigua girls basketball on the Connors and Ferris High School Sports Show.
Looking for a used truck? Can you find one out of 350? At BobJohnsonAutoGroup.com, you'll find one. Love SUVs? 800 are waiting for you to take one home at BobJohnsonAutoGroup.com. Add 350 pre-owned sedans, and you've got a total of 1,500 used vehicles only at BobJohnsonAutoGroup.com.
Bob Johnson's got you right. Bob Johnson.
While we celebrate 140 years of serving our community, the kind of delicious joy that lasts a lifetime, we look forward to serving you for 140 more. With hardworking, wholehearted, passionate people who will help shape new memories for generations to come.
When it comes to workers' comp, things can change quickly.
The only way to make sure your rights are protected is to have a trusted, committed attorney on your side.
An attorney who has devoted their career to helping injured workers.
Someone to fight for the money and medical benefits you deserve.
The only person on your side
is the attorney at your side.
Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys.
The best 3 things here at McQuaid are definitely the sports, the brotherhood, and the service to community. I think that's a really big, important thing that McQuaid stresses, which is part of creating a better and great man. You definitely feel a connection with your fellow students here. It's being all guy school. You're able to relate to each other on a personal level, and everyone's very welcoming here with open arms and willing to be your friend.
Local McDonald's operators care about our local schools, teams, and student athletes. That's why they support the return of high school athletics in the Rochester area and around the state. See you before or after the big game at McDonald's. Welcome back, Section 5. Game on!
In these challenging times, our dedicated team at American Custom continues to provide top-quality installations to every customer. With guidelines and restrictions changing daily, we apply attention to every detail. You can trust our team to make sure the job is done right.
Welcome back to the Connors and Ferris High School Sports Show. Jeff DiVeronica and Steve Bradley talking with the Canandaigua girls basketball team. Off to a great start this season. A big matchup on Saturday at Pittsford Sutherland. Two teams that are knocking on the door of 10 wins and double-digit wins. And we're talking with Coach Mike Brennan and Mya Herman, our Bob Johnson Auto Athlete of the Week. Last season, one of the key players, averaging 14.2 points per game for Canandaigua. Coach, you're going to Sutherland on Saturday. Early morning start, 11 o'clock. Not a lot of those, 11:15. I know they have a player, Allie Burgeon, who's averaging almost 22 points a game. Break down the nights for us. I'm a little surprised. Sutherland's been admittedly down a little bit the last few years.
Yeah, so they kind of mirror us, or we mirror them in terms of the last couple of years. Their best players have been young players. You mentioned Ellie. She's a lot like Abby Harrod, where she's a all the way D1 lacrosse recruit, but she's just a competitor first and foremost. And so we have to keep her under control. They're very well coached and balanced. They're not going to beat themselves, and they also, as I mentioned, they mirror us. He focuses big time on defense, so I think that's going to be a great game, and we're excited for it.
You guys are about at the halfway point of the season, so it's a good time to take inventory of what you've done well and maybe of some growth areas. What do you and your teammates get out of playing against top competition? What can you learn?
Coach Ben always says like stay humble, I guess, and always just we may have won, but there's always a next game, and we always got to work harder that next game.
Maya, let's go back to last season. Speaking of the next game, because you beat Brockport twice in the regular season, including the second victory on Coach's 40th birthday. And then you got a rematch with them in the sectional semifinals. And, it's a 2 against a 3. It's a close matchup. The 2 seed against the 3 seed. You're the 2, they're the 3. You guys lose 45-38. And Ella Fideli had 21 points. She's back this year, right? She's back too. I guess, what do you remember about that game? And if it happens again this year, what do you all want to do better if you get another shot at Brockport in the sectionals?
The most distinct memory I have is them celebrating on our court. That's kind of just the thing that everything has brought up every time we play them. And so obviously that's in the back of our minds now every time we play them. And I don't know, just want to win.
Mike, kind of the same question for you that I had for Maya, just about where we are in the season. Are you somebody who takes inventory that you're at the halfway point and look at the things that you've done and maybe the areas that you want to grow? And if so, what do you see right now as things to work on as you build towards the second half of the season and a potential run in sectionals?
So I personally break it up into thirds in terms of when we kind of switch gears a little bit. And so by games, we're in the middle third. And so now's when I like to kind of see, okay, we've started off nicely, and I kind of like to push us a little bit in terms of taking a few risks. This is where I try to see, hey, can we run this new defense? Can we run this new offense? And a lot of times the answer is no. And this is where I like to try to do that. You don't want to do that leading into sectionals and maybe experience, I don't mind making mistakes, but you don't necessarily want to do that going into sectionals. So now is when, whatever, I say to the kids all the time, sometimes my stuff works, sometimes it doesn't. And this middle third is when we try some new stuff. And it also helps. It's such a long season, helps to keep things light in practice if we're trying new things. And so that's kind of where we're at. Obviously very happy with the schedule we've played with Fairport, Waterloo, and Victor and Hilton, to come out with only one loss this many games in. we're pretty happy with that, but we're not satisfied. So we're going to try a few new things and see what fits us. And then the last third is really getting ready for the tournament.
Maya, have you figured out college yet? You're a junior, so it's not like it's that far off, but do you know what you're doing yet?
I don't.
Okay. That's okay.
You have
That's
the choice
fine.
if you have the choice between lacrosse and basketball, are you leaning toward either sport?
Definitely basketball.
Okay.
Definitely.
Good. Coach, I want to take you back a few years, and we're coming up on the 7-year anniversary of when I guess Courtney Wagner's fight against cancer kind of went public. She was a tremendous athlete in the district. And I know on senior night, 2015, February 18th, I was there to write about her life, and her battle became really, she was on the Ellen DeGeneres show after that. I guess as a guy back then who was in his mid 30s, you're a dad. How much does that impact you as a coach, as a father, as a man, seeing that young lady go through and doing it so valiantly, what she went through?
It changed the fabric of who I am, I would say, that and becoming a father. I really can't, I struggle to put into words. I started to tingle a little bit when you talked about it, but to ask a kid that young to have that kind of fortitude, and the way she battled it and in the public eye like that was just unbelievable. And also the community, not just the Canandaigua community, but the Rochester community. And as you mentioned, across the country supported her as she went through it was really an affirmation, I think, of the human spirit and how we can kind of put things aside and battle with someone. So what she's become, several years later, an icon in Canandaigua. Kids who have come up certainly didn't know her, but our kids, every game, they put a little CW with a Sharpie on their wrist, and they've never met the kid. And so she continues to inspire kids in the Canandaigua community.
Maya, as a fourth grader, Steve was going there too. As a fourth grader, did you know much about the story as it was happening?
Yeah, kind of. I remember going to, I think it might have been the senior night game too, and just seeing her, but I know her story, but I don't really remember much.
So when you write those initials though, what does that signify to you and your teammates?
That we're playing for her, that we're playing with her in a way, she's just a symbol for us as a basketball community.
Well, it's been a while for the Braves in Canandaigua to win a Section 5 title. 2009, by my estimation, only 3 in school history. And I'm pretty sure I covered that team with the Zahn sisters. And I wish you the best of luck moving forward, Canandaigua. And it's nice. I always say it's nice that we have different people holding that brick and not the same teams over and over again. It's no offense to the Mendons of the world. None whatsoever. I'm just saying it's nice. So, but in any event, Mya Herman, nice to meet you. Thanks for being on our program. We appreciate it. And Coach Brennan, good to talk to you face to face. We do have to connect. I want to get some intelligence on your hometown where my family has a cottage, Cape Vincent, New York, sometime soon. All right.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having us.
For Steve Bradley, I'm Jeff DiVeronica. Thanks for watching us right here on the Connors and Ferris High School Sports Show.